And welcome once again to the Liberty Lounge podcast. I am surrounded by my buddies. It's Jared to my left of guns and gadgets. And out there in California, it's the armed scholar. It's Anthony. He is ready to rock and roll. All right, we are going to do a succotash today. And it's dealer's choice because there's so freaking much going on. I think I'm about the point where I have reached maximum level on the election. You getting close? You maxing out?
Yeah, but we're there. There's like, what, 44 days, 45 days left? We're there.
44 days left. Anthony, how close are you to maximum saturation?
I mean, it's all over everybody's feeds, and I don't think it's going to go down at all. Like Jared said, as we get closer, who knows what's going to happen? It seems like every week something insane happens again, and the news cycle spins up until something else pops up. So I'm over it. I'm ready for it to be done, but what implications that also means for our society, I don't know if we're ready for that. So we'll see.
On some level, get the popcorn. Like, it has been wild. Like in every single week on my channel, I tell people, well, it's wild once again. And they think, like, some people from the outside looking in, you would think I'm just making it up. But people that are plugged in, they're like, holy crap, every week. I'm going to go first. Dealer's choice. We each have a story and we haven't talked to each other about what we're going to talk about. Here's what I want to talk about. Kamala Harris came out, laughed, cackled like the demon that she is. And then she had talked about her collard greens. And I said something about collard greens the other day. And somebody's like, that's kind of disrespectful because you were doing the stereotypical black woman. I'm like, no, I'm not. She is. She talked about having a bathtub full of collard greens. And then I just immediately go, what do you mean, you people? Here's the deal. Kamala Harris offered her favorite recipes for collard greens and recommendations for hot sauces while pandering to a black crowd, but also said this weekend that she's a gun owner. Holy smokes. Did you catch that? What do you think, Jared? Kamala Harris says she's a gun owner, and if anybody comes up in her hood, they're going to get shot. They're going to get shot.
Well, first off, if either one of us, any of us, made that statement, and God forbid we had to do that one day, we would be thrown in jail, in the gulag, for premeditated murder in a heartbeat because we said it on TV.
Yeah, you're not supposed to like announce that you're going to shoot people in your house and then shoot them because that could be argued as premeditated.
Right. Yeah. I've been talking to Anthony and a few other friends in the industry for the last few days, trying to get more information on that. Cause the first time we saw her mention she was a gun owner, it was 2019 during the lead up to her initial run for the presidency.
When she won how many electorate votes?
As many as that model has.
0 is the number. She won 0.
Yeah. And, you know, I had people looking at, without putting names out there, if you remember California a couple of years ago, accidentally on purpose leaked all the information on gun owners with concealed carry permits and stuff like that. I had people scouring those lists to see if Kamala Harris was on it. We didn't see anything, but it wasn't an exhaustive list. I'm trying to find out if she does have a gun, if she has a concealed carry permit. Does she carry it with her, or does she just violate the law? Is it a gun off the California roster, or is she violating the law? Does she carry a 10-round magazine, or is she violating the law?
Geez, dude.
Yeah.
She said that it is one of her friends said it's small enough to fit in a purse, and Kamala said it is at home, locked away safely in her house in LA.
Yeah.
Anthony, are you buying it? She says she's got a gun. She said if anybody comes up in her hood, they gonna get shot. She gonna stab them, cook them some collard greens, and they're gonna get. I think her words were capped.
I don't know. Me and Jared, we've talked a lot about this. I'm on the fence whether or not I believe she actually owns a gun. I think at best, maybe her husband owns a gun. And
he's a white guy. He's got 50-50.
Yeah, maybe it's a communal home gun that they've never used and that's locked away and separated from the ammo, like she said. It's with California's records. I mean, California DOJ would know for sure, but you know that technically is not public information unless you go through the leaks, like Jared said. But even those are finite lists because the CCW information was about 200,000 people. So it's not all comprehensive firearms data information in California, which is good because that's a leak. And we definitely don't want that out there because it was a downloadable PDF form. Do I believe her? Maybe, but again, it's just pandering. I did a video on this and I was talking about it. Is anybody under the delusion that she would ever actually defend herself? She's been surrounded by armed security her entire life. For 20 plus years, when she was Attorney General for California, she was surrounded by security. When she was in the Senate, she was surrounded by security. When she was running initially for the nomination to presidency, she was surrounded by security. As VP, she's surrounded by security. And now as the still VP and presidential nominee again, surrounded by security. So
who nominated her? That's a great question. You said she is the nominee. Who nominated?
The nominee. Well, according to the Democrats, she is the nominee.
They did.
She got zero
Exactly.
of votes in the primary. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, that's a whole issue within its own right. But the whole point is, she's never going to have to defend herself with a gun. She knows that. She's surrounded by armed security her entire life. So is her family. She's never actually had to worry about her defense. So she's just pandering, saying, I'm a gun owner just like you. And we've talked about this before, where every time there's an election cycle, you'll have the progressive liberals posting their photos with their shotguns in the duck hunt or whatever.
A picture.
Yeah. And be like, I'm a gun owner just like you. Hello, fellow gun owners. While also being like, but I want to ban rifles and red flag laws and I want universal background checks. So yeah, she's annoying and dumb. And I don't know. Yeah, it's just frustrating. And we've talked about this a lot. I think it's a lot of pandering and trying to not mobilize those 10 million unregistered gun owners that we talk about a lot. I think there's a huge fear right now about that, especially as you push closer and closer to the election, of a influx of voters that you weren't anticipating. And it has been interesting to see how much she's been discussing that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you guys, let me throw this out there. I was just thinking about this. Do you think maybe she's throwing that gun owner thing out there because she knows the Secret Service can't protect her?
No, I do think that the Secret Service is apparently inept on some level. Number two, why? Because of 2 assassination attempts in recent days.
Well, do you think that's Secret Service at large or just the ones they're giving to Trump?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure, and I'm not just playing I'm sure there's some great men and women out there. There probably are some bad A's that are in that. You and I have a friend that's former Secret Service. She says that there's some bad A's left in the ranks.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think as a whole, anybody that's willing to go inside the Beltway and work in DC, they are morons, is my guess. As a whole, there are some pockets. Thomas Massey is currently on my awesome list. I think the real thing is here, if you do break into her house, you are going to get shot because she has 24-hour-a-day armed security. Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam, if y'all remember that. Anthony, I don't know if you remember the 90s. You ever heard of the 90s? There's a band called Pearl Jam out there.
Yeah,
and,
I was born in the 90s.
To quote Eddie Vedder, is what he said at one point. But he also, this weekend at a concert, he's like, F guns. I hate guns. Guns suck. Guns are terrible. I can't even hardly sing this song because it's about guns. And the question is, how many armed security were at that concert? I think I've said it at this table before. If you have 24-hour-a-day armed security, go shove it up your nose what you think about my self-protection and my rights. I don't really care. So I think her point, Jared, is, yeah, you gonna get shot up in here is probably pretty accurate because you are going to get shot up in here.
Up in here.
Yeah, not by her though, but by the people who are tasked with defending her.
Did you see Oprah's face?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And then Oprah's like, I hear you. I hear you. I hear that, which is such a non-answer. You mentioned Obama's, and Anthony was talking about the pandering photos. I thought Obama's shotgun, that one pic was pretty good because you can see the gas coming out of that ported shotgun. He's a little awkward on his shoulder, but I think in the
a little awkward.
I think in the grand scheme of gay men trying to shoot a shotgun who've never shot a shotgun, he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was probably take 57. Yeah, he did okay.
I'm gonna give him a 6.5.
No, I don't give him any credit.
Nothing.
He sucks.
Yes, he does. Mike. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Blackout Coffee. Great news. Blackoutcoffee.com, and Jared showing it on his shirt. They are growing, and I am excited to grow with them. My audience has been in a clash lately. You know what I'm going to say. What flavor am I going to say?
Blueberry crumble.
Blueberry crumble. My audience is all about that morning Reaper, and we are having a whole headbutting thing because I like a little flavor in the morning because I got a little flavor in my life, but they're hitting morning Reaper. Who's going to win this battle?
Cinnamon French toast.
Cinnamon French toast. Anthony, who's going to win the battle?
1776.
1776. blackoutcoffee.com/liberty and use the code liberty to save 20% off your first order. We are thrilled and proud and excited to be connected to blackoutcoffee.com/liberty. Use that code liberty. I'm going with blueberry crumble.
We want to thank the sponsor of today's show, Patriot Mobile. For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And when I say only, trust me, they're the only one. Patriot Mobile is a new supporter of the Liberty Lounge, and we are proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending the message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and our military veterans and first responder heroes. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes switching easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan that meets your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/liberty or call 972-PATRIOT. You can get free activation when you use the offer code LIBERTY. Join me and make the switch today.
Today we're doing Succotash, a bouncing around of our own topics. We hadn't talked to each other about what we're going to do. Jared, you are up. What's on your brain?
Let's stay in the fast lane with the news that just you can't get away from, even if you want to. Let's throw this question out to the folks.
Can I keep doing my black lady accent?
Sure, you can do that. Yeah,
thanks.
Yeah. We are in the South. Do you guys and gals watching also, do you think that the Secret Service and the Department of Justice are they even warranted to be investigating these issues where they dropped the ball? Is the government supposed to be investigating itself and then tell somebody they did something wrong?
I'm working on an accent. Anthony, you go.
No. I mean, you would.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh.
Oh no, you didn't.
with every other incident, when you would have an internal investigation, you would get a unbiased third party to be part of that, to look into whatever improprieties might have happened. So for the DOJ, their Secret Service, to be investigating themselves is hilarious. And how could you trust anything that ever comes out of those investigations? Even with this, again, we're going to go down conspiracy theory because Johnny's pulled me more and more down conspiracy theories.
We call it reality around here. Reality. Welcome to the sunlight, Anthony.
Yeah. Even if it was a third party investigator that they hired or outsourced it to some other agency, would we trust whatever the government tells us at large anyways that happens? I probably wouldn't. And I don't think the general populace would believe it anyways. So either way, it's kind of whatever. And that's kind of the sad state that our society is in now, where we can't even at all trust what the federal government says because they have burned all of their cachet with us, whether it was because of COVID or all these other stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think that too often, we've talked about it here before, that American men, and maybe all of us, men and women, but we really, really, really make everything black and white. We read one headline and then we go one of two directions. This is so bad. This is so good. And everything has to be, I'm going to defend the New England Patriots. Calm down, Skippy. And it's going to be, I'm going to defend my sports team no matter what. And everything is all black and white. And we do it the same in the gun world. We talked about it right here before. Oh my gosh, Ruger. And then the Ruger guys are like, oh, they're the best. And everybody else is like, they're not as good as my gun. I think life is not black and white. Life is gray. And there are black and white issues. Do we like the Constitution? Yes. Should we murder puppy dogs? Probably not. It's probably black and white. But the rest of the world is a little gray because there's nuances and layers to everything. I had a viewer tell me yesterday, he's like, I've been a first responder for 27 years. That's kind of cool. Like, that's kind of cool. And then he said, first responders are this, and this, all positives. And he said, they're amazing. They're the most dedicated men and women you'll ever see. And a lot of times it's true. However, who shot Duncan Lemp through the side of his house? First responders. And that doesn't mean they're all bad. It's a layered and nuanced thing. Similarly, along the same vein, who investigated the Duncan Lemp shooting? If y'all don't know who that is, he was a kid who was asleep next to his pregnant girlfriend in his parents' house. There was a warrant for his arrest because he owned some guns. Then he was seen at a militia training event. And he was still asleep. They shot him through the side and that's really what we know. And that's all we know. And all that's been verified. Mm-hmm. Who did the investigation?
The same PD.
The PD did an investigation of themselves. I think they brought some like sheriff's departments in from the county to come in, and they investigated themselves. Guess what they found? No wrongdoing. That's your point. I think that is your point. We have got a guy who was 12 to 24 hours in the bushes before Trump went to play golf. Trump decided to play golf at that golf course 45 minutes to 4 hours, depending on who you listen to, shortly before that he was going to go. I had a friend of mine who's a Democrat stop me and go, sounds like a setup by Trump, doesn't it? I went, oh, I hadn't thought about that because I don't watch enough leftist news to get, people are saying that it's a setup by Trump. Our side is saying it's a setup by the left. Your point is who's going to figure this out, investigate it, and sift through all the data? They're going to do it themselves. What do you think, Jared? Can they sift themselves?
I think they're going to try to put on the best face they can because all the guns are pointed at them, so to speak, figuratively speaking, in Congress right now. You have the acting director, Ron Rowe, who is borderline like getting fired every time somebody talks to him, although the only people who can do it is the president or Merrick Garland. But
who is the president these days? That's a great question. We haven't seen anybody.
George Soros.
George Soros?
Maybe Obama.
Maybe
Hillary.
Obama.
I don't know.
Maybe Hillary.
Maybe.
It's weird. We hadn't seen him. Go ahead.
So, go back to Butler, Pennsylvania, where actually Trump just said he's going to be in October. He's going back, which is ballsy.
Is that where the first assassination was? Because they kind of run together at this point.
Yeah, first one was in Butler. The second one was at his golf course 2 blocks from where I was in Palm Beach last week.
What's in Palm Beach?
Blackout Coffee is just north of Palm Beach.
.com/Liberty. I thought you were going to say Spotify. Spotify.
The first incident took place, and now they put 5 agents on leave, including the head of that Philadelphia division who runs that area. So they actually took some type of action. What happens with those 5? Nobody knows.
They're on paid vacation is what that
administrative
word is.
Yep. Basically.
Paid vacation. Okay.
And on this one, I mean, and you don't even have to have done tactical work to know that, if you have a very important person, a protectee going to a location, you check the location first.
Maybe walk through the golf course.
You sweep it, and then you hold it until the protectee comes, and then you maintain it. So nobody walked the course. No drones flying around, no nothing, which is about as far from any operational security as you could possibly get. So it's either someone's trying to get it done. If what we know now, if you take it for gospel, that dude was there. His phone was pinging there for 12 hours, right? Waiting, hoping that Donald Trump plays golf that day. There were no golf events on Trump's calendar that day. It was a last minute decision. And then guys sitting in the bush with a duct tape scoped SKS piece of trash.
And for all we know, he was doing that twice a week for weeks on end, just hoping to catch him.
And then the letter that came out.
What's the letter?
So he, the same person, I'm not saying his name, but the golf course person, had put out a letter offering $150,000 for somebody to finish the job.
I did see that. How did he get that? Was this after he got caught?
I think it was before he got caught.
Where's he getting $150,000 from? Because he's a bum.
How's he flying back and forth to Ukraine and recruiting?
Yeah, he was in Ukraine, so he probably just got some of our taxpayer money, brought it back with him.
And then you look at the known at least 5 teams who are operating in America, the assassination teams that have been verified by DOJ. One of them is a Ukrainian team. Is this guy part of that team? Is he being funded by that team? There's so many things to look at.
If he's being funded with that duct tape, I think it was like electrical tape, SKS. I think if he's being funded by the Ukraine, we need to step up our congressional funds to Ukraine because they suck. They need some more money. That was the worst ever. We may talk about that next episode, but holy smokes, what a pitiful assassination attempt. You and I, this is only for conversation, and this is not real, Meta and, Facebook.
Yes.
This is not real. This is just for fun.
Allegedly.
Me and you and Anthony could spend about 45 minutes and be ahead of that Nimrod.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, the shots, the distances involved so far has been chip shots.
So he offers $150,000 for somebody to finish the job. I'm sure that they would be able to collect on that bounty.
But yeah, the DOJ put the friggin' thing out there. So in essence, the DOJ is marketing the job.
Did you see the media's marketing also last week when Trump went to a football game? One of the media outlets told what row he was going to be in. And like it was like, hey, guys, he's going to be in such and such a section, row 2, seat 12 from noon to 3 p.m. The wind and the barometric pressure is, and the Coriolis effect is. And they literally sat the shot up for him and was like,
if you're
hey,
shooting this grain of a bullet, then your top is going to be.
I saw a meme today and it said if Kamala Harris is so far ahead compared to like what the media is saying, is she that far ahead? Why do they keep trying to kill him?
It's a good point. It's a very good point. But I think it's closer than everybody thinks. But the opposite side is petrified of Donald Trump with a hair across his ass in 4 years to get the stuff done.
What does a hair across his butt mean? I've never heard that.
You never heard that?
What is that?
Comment down below if you've heard that before.
A hair across. They're scared of him having a hair across his beehole.
It means you have an attitude and you could care less.
Got an attitude.
Yeah.
Got me an attitude.
Woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
Woke up this morning. I think that's interesting. He has a hair across his rear end because he's really going to get things done. I was just messing with some Republican friends of mine, and I'm a registered one also, but I'm also a registered beehole. No, I don't know if I have any hairs across my rear end or not. But I was saying something to them, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get him in, and he's really going to drain the swamp. And I said, he had the Senate, the Congress, and the Oval Office for 2 years.
Yeah.
And they started that 4D chess crap. No, he's like a slingshot. You got to pull him back before he lets loose. And I'm like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of good that he can do, but I think Washington is broken. But I'll sure take him over that cackling witch any day.
Nobody wanted. I mean, just months ago, nobody wanted. Not even their party wanted. So it just blows my mind.
Least popular in U.S. history. How about that?
Yeah, I think I kind of wanted to bounce this off you guys because I know we're talking a lot about conspiracy theory. Like, was it really someone going after Trump? Maybe was Trump involved?
What do you think, Anthony?
Well, I mean, I really don't know right now either side, but I think no matter what, the alternatives are not looking good because really where I'm at, it's either there's an active, some sort of collusion to go after him, or rhetoric has become so bad in our society, especially left-leaning rhetoric, that now you have a trend of individuals trying to actively assassinate a presidential nominee and a former president and is getting close. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, either way, it's not good. And it's a little concerning for our country in general that we're seeing this ramp up. And then, I mean, if you were to be a betting man, wouldn't you just bet that something else is going to pop up? Because, 2 is a trend at this point.
Yeah. And I would, if I could talk to Trump's people, and I know some of them watch our stuff now.
For real?
Yeah.
Some of Trump's people watch our stuff?
One of them does.
I'm sorry about all that stereotypical stuff. It's all aimed at Kamala and her collard greens.
What they should do is, with all this Trump's a threat to democracy stuff they keep spewing, he should grab that and run with it. Yes, he is a threat to democracy because we do not have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic. The left wants a democracy, which is majority rules, emotion rules. Own it and run with it.
That's what is democracy? 7 wolves and 6 sheep voting on what's for dinner.
Yeah, put up a sign, say, take away your teeth because the wolves bite sheep and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cut your wiener off because somebody else got raped.
Yeah, you should run with it.
The wiener thing, or run with the democracy?
Whatever
thing?
You want to run with. It's America.
I think that's great. Yes, I am. Yeah, lean into it. Lean into whatever they offer. I don't know. We have bifurcated to the point where it's like it's just like it's so odd to talk to somebody who's sort of in the middle. And you and I have a friend, TC, who's a little leans in the middle, and he's a little anti-gun, but very pro other areas, especially he's a fiscal conservative. And it's just so weird and refreshing to talk to somebody that's kind of in the middle, because then you can like really hash things out. Right. Because so much of the country is either blue-haired, purple hair, or has pronouns, or believes in all that crap, or they believe we should cut the genitals off of children. And so I think we have gone so far in 2 directions that we forget that a lot of America is in the middle. I said today on my channel that the middle America is going to decide this election. They always do. The 2 far ends, we already know where they stand. We're doing Succotash today. Anthony, where are you at? You are up to the plate. Hit us with the Succotash.
We kind of mentioned this earlier and a little bit right before we filmed. I want to play off of what we're already going on. Do you guys believe both parties, regardless of what happens with the election, are they going to accept what actually happens? Are we so far? Because when you look at the last two elections, both sides contested the results. Hillary and her team didn't like the results. Trump's team didn't like the results, whether or not you believe they were valid or not. And so, are we just in a trend now where no matter what, the election is going to be contested? And what are the inherent results of that? Like, what are you guys' feeling? Because I know, Johnny, you talked about there's no one in the, or there's people in the middle, but
we perceive, sometimes we
Yeah.
forget that most of America's in the middle because the people with the microphones are all the way on one end or another.
I feel like kind of pushing back against that, even just talking in my general area in California, it was very interesting. I was speaking with one of my younger brothers last weekend, and he's a person, by no means is he plugged into politics and ever had any interest in politics or anything related to that. I don't think he's ever even voted. But when I was over there the last time, he said during the debate, he turned it on to watch it because he wanted to see what Trump was going to say as far as solutions, because the economy is so bad and he's feeling the effects of that. And this is someone who just is, I mean, candidly, and he would acknowledge this too, just had no interest in any of this stuff ever. And so I feel like the way our politics are, I don't know if we really have a large middle ground anymore. I feel like more and more people, because of the economy and just the stuff that's going on in our nation, are getting pushed one way or the other. And even people like that, I don't know if they would accept the election results regardless. So, I mean, where does that really leave us as far as the state of our country going forward after November?
I think that as long as there's evidence, clear and convincing evidence of chicanery, then you'll always have people who will question the results. You know, if you go to sleep at 3 a.m. and all of a sudden another side, jumps up in the lead by a dramatic amount, or if you see stacks of ballots thrown in the trash, as long as you see that stuff, the average person's going to go, remember the Arsenio Hall show? Things that make you go, Anthony probably doesn't know who Arsenio Hall is.
Speaking of dog pound.
But I mean, and until we have all states go through with only what some have thus far is going through the rolls, the voter rolls, and removing dead people, and getting illegal aliens off of the voting rolls. Until you have every state do that, there's going to be doubt. And as long as there's doubt, I mean, it's tough to say everybody's going to buy into results one way or another.
I mean, I think there's always going to be doubt, but what are we actually going to do about it? The last election, we know that they found 144,000 votes in the middle of the night. That's been verified. That's been remarkably verified repeatedly. But now, even on YouTube, it's against their terms of service to even question the election results. And even this video, me saying those words, question election results, could get us flagged right there. You are not allowed to criticize and we know. So there's two things going on. We know that they found votes and that Smokin' Joe Frazier has voted. Everybody says he voted in the last one. I think he voted like 2 elections ago, but he has voted since he died. So Smokin' Joe Frazier, down goes Frazier into the ballot box. And so we do know that there is, to your word, chicanery going on in the ballots. We know that, like, that's been verified, and you can't criticize it. So to Anthony's point, yeah, I mean, what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't think the elections are going to be fair in some districts. That's for sure. So much bullcrap in Georgia in recent months. But what's actually going to happen? I'm not just being cynical, but really what's going to happen, because Google owns Google and Meta owns Meta, and they control the narrative. Just today, I typed into YouTube, Kamala Harris mandatory gun buybacks. I got flagged. The big blue box popped up. I've never seen it before. Popped up over top of my search results and said mostly false. Even though she has said this before, it is mostly false. So my point is, they're going to control the narrative of the election. Here's Anthony's question, is fantastic. Will either side accept the results? And then Anthony said, well, the last 2 elections, this has been going on a long time.
Yeah.
Remember hanging chads?
Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, that was the state of Florida. Changed an election right there because of people unable to push the whole circle through the ballot card.
Yeah, it's a mess. And so I think it's a great question. I don't think either side will accept the results on some level. And I also think probably nothing's going to happen until people are hungry. And I think, and I always come back to this when we talked about our zombie apocalypse, and I was right in everything I said about on those episodes. When we talked about that, is that people are not hungry, and until people miss meals, they won't really care. As long as their cell phones are charged, I don't think they're going to care. I think they'll mumble and grumble and I'll make memes about it, but are we actually going to do anything? Anthony, where are you at?
I don't know. It's a very weird time. And I've been listening to a lot of like history podcasts and some historian analysis about like maybe where the US is heading, or in comparison to, the Roman Empire and other civilizations falling. And it's interesting. I mean, as far as if either side doesn't accept the election results, then what incentive does either side have to do fair elections? Because let's talk about if you're on a certain side anyways, who maybe is engaging in this conduct in the past, and you already know people are going to question it regardless, then what incentive do you have to play fair? If you already know that it's going to be questioned, why not just ramp it up to 11? If you know it's going to be questioned anyways. I mean,
sounds like communism.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. And I don't know if I necessarily agree either where something will happen just because people are hungry. There's already we already have some interesting unrest in our nation as it is. And I don't mean to be super doom and gloom, but it's just the reality of you have to think about these things, especially as we get closer to a very pivotal moment for our nation. And do I think that this is the last election like everybody, says? No, I don't. I think we'll have elections after that, after this one. But will there be things that happen after this because either side doesn't accept what happens? And I remember also, I was telling my wife this recently, everybody for some reason seems to be of this mindset that even if once Trump gets in office, that all these attempts and all this will stop. I don't know where that mindset is coming from. So you might be facing 4 more years of chicanery of people going after him. Maybe even if he loses, still going after him, depending on what the narrative is after that. So it's a very weird time, very uncertain time. I'm concerned a little bit for our nation, where we go from here, and I think you guys are too. But I don't think we're so far gone. I think that there's a lot we can still do as the average person, and we've talked about it a lot. There's 10 million gun owners not registered to vote. There's 10 million people
out there that can be armored up.
Yeah.
Check on your friends who are welders. They may need your help in the coming days. Check on your friends who are welders. They might need your help. Hey, today's episode has been all about succotash. How much fun has this been? I think it's fun to get together and just popcorn some ideas around. I want to end with this question to Jared. Jared, you got to armor up a Komatsu D355A, and you can't choose a belt fed. What you putting on the top of this thing? How you going to defend around yourself from the 3-letter agencies? No belt feds.
Oh man, no belt feds.
No belt feds. Yeah, because last episode I said something about, what are you taking? And Anthony's like, hey, I'm taking my BCM. And you're like, MG 240 belt fed onto a desert island. I'm like, what a ridiculous answer. What do you got?
It'd be badass though.
Yeah, it would be, but not here. What do you got?
I would go with just a generic AK because it'll run no matter what. You had plentiful ammunition. You can find it from neighbors if need be.
Quite the exciting answer there from Jared of Guns and Gadgets.
I had the exciting one, and you said I couldn't say it. The next was going to be chain gun, even though it's not belt gun. It's not a belt gun, but it is.
Is a mini. I guess a minigun is also a belt fed, also, isn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah, I did steal your thunder, 100%. Hey, I'm Johnny B, the Thunder Stealer, on behalf of Jared Guns and Gadgets and Anthony, the Arms Scholar out in California. However you found us, we're glad you did. Get yourself subscribed, whether you're on Apple or Spotify. Get yourself subscribed. We're glad you're here, and we'll see you soon.
Deuces.